I'm not doing it. I am absolutely not going to see or support another Michael Bay Transformers movie.
Nick Izumi knows a lot. Nick Izumi hits the spot. Nick Izumi does reviews, and he hopes you like them too. In all his animated glory, he'll talk about another story.
Okay, so I guess crap damn, that's not really surprising to anybody. Let's be honest here. It's been pretty clear that I've been having trouble working up any enthusiasm over this franchise since basically the Staff of Doom video, for anyone who remembers or even cares what that was. The thing is, I love Transformers. It's one of my oldest fandoms. The earliest birthday memory I have is on my 5th birthday when my parents got me the Generation 2 reissue of the original Optimus Prime. I love this franchise, but I'll also admit that it has a lot of problems. The original G1 is dumb. It's just, you know, it had its moments, but it was by no means a great piece of television. But even it holds up better than any of Michael Bay's movies. Well, I'll admit I enjoy the first Michael Bay Transformers. It's just been this downhill spiral, and after the 3rd one, I swore it off. I still haven't seen Transformers 4. Age of Extinction, was it? And I have no intention of going to see The Last Knight. I'm not going to support this, you guys. These movies keep getting worse. Why would I keep throwing money at it? But I know that a lot of bigger name YouTubers and internet people have already made this argument, so instead of going through all the points of why you should stop supporting these terrible movies, why don't I give you something a little bit more useful? I'm going to list off some Transformers things that are really awesome and worth your time that you might not have taken a look at. So let's start with number 5. This one's a little bit of a gimme, and I understand that it's also one of the more popular ones on the list, so I'm not going to be surprised if some of you have already seen it, but if you haven't, if you have Netflix, this one's streaming right on it. All 3 seasons and the movie. I'm of course talking about Transformers Prime. It's really nicely animated, at least after the first episode when they figured out how to render things. There's some phenomenal voice acting, solid story, and all that intense, really over-the-top action that you might get from the Michael Bay films, but with actual characters and a plot to back it up. I really love this show. I love what it did with a lot of the classic characters. I adore a lot of the new characters that it introduced. I can't recommend it enough. Take a look at Transformers Prime. It's super worth your time. Again, it's on Netflix. Check that one out. Number 4. This one is not on Netflix, but I highly, highly recommend giving it a look. Folks, if you have not looked at Transformers Animated, you are doing a disservice to yourself. A few years back, I did an April Fool's video talking about this show, and I broke down trying to talk about all the reasons I love it, and it's really, really good. I understand that the Teen Titans-y art style might be a turnoff for some people, but try to get past it. There's so much working in this show. Again, voice acting, phenomenal. Plot lines and stories are super, super deep. An amazing Optimus and Megatron dynamic where Optimus isn't the supreme leader. He's not even that high ranking. He's just some scrub who just happens to be at the right place at the right time. And up until the last season, Megatron doesn't know or care who he is. This Megatron's a full-on war criminal, and Corey Burton's cold read, in addition to just some of the stuff that this version of Megatron does, makes him my favorite version of Megatron across the entire meta-series. Do yourself a favor and check this show out. Shout Factory has all 3 seasons in a box set. It's not too expensive. Pick it up. It's worth it. Number 3, the video games. This one was hard to narrow down, so I decided to list 2, both of which I'm really fond of. First off, there is Fall of Cybertron. This was the second in High Moon Studios Transformers games, and I haven't actually played the first one, but this one, the second one, everyone I know who's played it loved it. I loved it. Super cool, super worth your time. This game is set just before the Autobots and Decepticons leave Cybertron in their fateful course for Earth. Great gameplay, really intuitive controls, awesome boss battles, and a lot of your favorite characters show up. You get to do badass things. It's pretty much all your favorite Autobots and Decepticons. It's a really fun game that gives you just a whole lot to look forward to and play with. Even gives you a really tragic and heartbreaking backstory for the Dinobots. It is worth your time. God, just the Grimlock segments are amazing video game storytelling in and of themselves. Take a look at that game. Though if you want something even more intense and maybe a bit more nostalgic, Platinum Studios Transformers Devastation may be your thing. It looks and sounds like an episode of the 80s cartoon. The cel-shaded style really matches the old cartoon very nicely, and all of the voice actors came back except for the entirely too dead to show up Chris Latta. So your Starscream isn't quite on point, but everything else super is. You get to play as any one of 5 Autobots who you can switch between at almost any point in the game. Lots of really interesting weapons, cool combos. Get to fight all the big-name Decepticons: Starscream, Shockwave, Soundwave, the Combiners, even Megatron himself. It's so much fun. Basically think Bayonetta with Transformers. You cannot go wrong with this game. Again, super fun. Number 2. Transformers has a long, storied history with comics. There have been a lot of really cool comics back in the Marvel era, but I gotta really hand it to the modern Transformers comic company, IDW, for the amazing work they have done with these characters. The IDW Transformers verse really explores this as everything it possibly could be. Alien invasion stories, body horror stories, contemplations of war, religion, political intrigue, all sorts of just huge, big concept ideas that you don't get in a lot of more adult sci-fi, especially what you won't get in the Michael Bay movies. These books are heavily character-driven and just the best. If you're looking for some recommendations at where to start, More Than Meets the Eye and Robots in Disguise, 2 concurrent ongoing series, were both fantastic. There's been a lot of really good runs in the IDW line. I especially like More Than Meets the Eye, though. It follows mostly B and C list characters, with an exception for maybe Ratchet, when Rodimus Prime leads a crew off into uncharted space to look for the Knights of Cybertron, ancient Cybertronians of legend. What it ends up being is an indie film-style character study with some, again, huge concept sci-fi ideas, explorations of characters, how they deal with things like post-traumatic stress disorder, or what being at war for literally millions of years can do both for a person and the reputation of an entire planet. Think about it. There are other aliens in the Transformers universe. How are they going to react to Cybertronians, a species who have been at war with each other for literally millions of years? This is a fantastic book featuring all sorts of really not that popular characters. And added bonus, in recent times there was a Megatron redemption story arc that was heartfelt, amazing, and just so worth your time. More Than Meets the Eye by James Roberts is head and shoulders above so many other books. Though if you're looking for a shorter read, I can't recommend the miniseries Windblade enough. 4 issues by Marguerite Scott, illustrated by the great Sarah Stone. Windblade is focused on a female Transformer named Windblade who gets involved in political intrigue when Cybertron tries to rebuild itself after the war, and Starscream is the person in charge. Really fantastic book, great writing, great art. It's what got me back into the IDW books. Take a look at IDW Transformers. There's a lot of good going on right now. So, what's my number 1? What's my big Transformers thing that you might not have looked at, but you really should? Well, it's still a comic, but we're going old school, and we're also going across the Atlantic Ocean. The Marvel UK imprint did some really interesting and really just great world-building stuff when it came to the G1 Transformers. And no storyline better illustrates this than the classic miniseries Target 2006 by Simon Furman. Target 2006 was meant to be a tie-in to the original 1986 Transformers movie, but what it ends up doing is so much more than that. The action is well handled, the writing is suitably intense, the time travel things that it brings up in its story, wherein Galvatron, Cyclonus, and Scourge travel back to 1986 to mess with the Autobots of the present. It's just some really intense, some really cool stuff. Ultra Magnus gets the kind of character development in only a few issues that he never gets at any point in the actual Transformers the movie. And the book features, by far, the most badass moment Galvatron has ever had in any medium this character has ever appeared in. If you want to know what made Marvel UK Transformers different, read this book. If you want to know the potential of Transformers to tell an interesting and depth-filled sci-fi story, read this book. If you have any interest in just a good Transformers story, pick up this book. IDW actually reprinted it for American audiences not that long ago. You can get it. It's really cool. Super worth your time. Target 2006 is my vote for the number 1 coolest Transformers thing that you should be looking at. And really, you guys, take a look at any of these things and skip this movie. Please. Just do me a solid on this one. If you like what I have to say or what I'm doing, I really hope you do, feel free to like this video, share it with your friends, and please subscribe to this channel. For more videos on other things, including the Transformers, but also anime, superheroes, and other stuff that I love. And if you are really enjoying what you're seeing here and you want to support me, please swing by my Patreon. The link is down in the doobly-doo, where you can help me out financially, in addition to the great support that I'm getting here on YouTube. As always, keep on Spockin' in the free world.
You know what all those other good things have in common? Hide and seek.
Crime Chic!